That, of course, was the voice of Malcolm X. We appreciate the opportunity to get some wisdom from our brother Malcolm. Brother Malcolm, ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy Internet Radio. Be a part of the discussion tonight by calling us at 804-402-2893 if you want to have a reading from our sister clairvoyant medium, Miss Shayna Latia. Of course, special thank you to those folks listening to us right now on TuneIn, on Streamer, as well as those folks that are listening to the replays on YouTube. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J.
Right now, before I get into the next segment, I want to get the stipulations on the $100 gift card. The first to qualify, you have to beat one of my hosts in trivia, and that's Miss Dee over there in the corner.
Yeah.
That will go down next Monday.
Oh. Okay. All my friends that are listening, all two of my friends that are listening probably, because y'all don't listen to me, make sure you call, please. I'd like to go to this show. I'd like to go to this show.
This is the $100 gift card.
Oh, okay. I'd like to get some of that money. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
To get those tickets, you got to beat me. Yeah.
Can I play?
No, you can't play.
You ain't eligible.
You're not eligible.
You ain't eligible.
But yeah, next week you're gonna go. The first caller go 101 in trivia with Dee. And y'all will qualify for $100 gift card. And then the following Monday, the first caller go head to head with the head host in trivia, Marcus J. And if you beat Marcus J, and whoever wins, go head to head for the $100 gift card. And if the host win, y'all have to pick a charity.
I will.
Oh, okay.
Y'all have to pick a charity to get
$100
$100 gift card.
I'm gonna win.
I got one.
I'm gonna win.
Right now, we're gonna get into the second segment, and second segment belongs to my good friend, Real Talk Monica. You're up. Your time to shine.
Hi, how y'all doing, guys? This is great to be on the Ain't No Half Stepping with the Marcus J guys. This has been a pleasure, guys. If y'all haven't checked me out, I have a YouTube channel, Real Talk with Monica. And, man, I'm just so pleased that Jay brought me on, man. I had a little bit of ball of nerves coming up in here, but I think I feel like fam already in here,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.
Look, then my good girl, Shayna Medium, I feel like, man, she talking about my grandmother. I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to start crying at first.
Please, I always have to walk around with tissues. I don't mean to make anyone out there cry. If I ever meet anybody out there in person or I give you a message or something, please try not to cry, because I'm going to cry too. We're going to both be crying.
But what I wanted to say, guys, was that I was truly blessed to be on air, especially when I didn't even know that I was going to be here back in 2010, and I'm truly blessed by God. I didn't know what my real purpose in life for, so I came up with this show called Real Talk with Monica. And my partner, Michael A. Hall, he's the one that's doing the video work. I got on Comcast Public Access TV. If y'all don't know, y'all need to support Legacy Internet Radio, Comcast Public Access TV, any internet company that's doing some good things like we're doing now. We need to have real talk because it's hard to get your voices heard. Back in November of last year, I got on camera and I didn't know what God was going to say. And so when she said my grandmother was in the room, she's in here with me because I was a little bit nervous when I got on camera last year, and I just came a natural, and I was fighting for veterans as being an advocate for veterans, and I started working with Concerned Veterans for America. It's a good organization, and from that, I started building my repertoire and doing a lot of things. I spoke up against immigration. And then I took on a lot of controversial topics, being a black Republican. And some people said, well, I was a long-time Democratic, and then I wrote to a lot of Democrats here in Virginia for help, and in D.C. and they turn a blind eye. So sometimes our own people don't want to help. And I'm not, and if you want me to call them out, I got the letters, baby. The certified letters. And Joe Morrissey. And don't get me started on him. Joe. He busy with the girl. That's why he wouldn't answer my letter. I even went up to his office, honey.
Listen, a lot of people, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, Monica.
No, go ahead, hon.
Our ancestors, our people after Reconstruction were Republicans. We did not become Democrats until they started forcing us to vote for them. This is my little tidbit there, so I'm an independent.
No, I can dig it. I love when we talk about how monolithic we are as voting bloc because, you know, we, as you stated, Dee, we voted Republican from the time we had the right to vote.
Exactly.
After, you know, and the reason why many folks don't know this, but because the great American benevolent 16th President Abraham Lincoln freed us slaves. So we were so happy to have our freedom that we voted for the party.
It was the Republican Party that was mainly, well, they had the most abolitionists, let me say that.
Yes. But it ain't today's Republican Party.
No, it's different.
It's a variety, and also if the party is not, the candidate is not right with the issues, I'm not going to stick with that. I will go to the right candidate.
Exactly.
Right. I think a lot of people get it twisted, though, with regards to the Republican Party in them days, because the Republican Party in those days, as you stated, were filled with abolitionists, and it was just the thought process and the way the party was run was different. And you know, I made my little joke about Lincoln, but he wasn't no great dude. He was the strategy was to free the slaves to cripple the South.
Right.
That's what that was about. It wasn't about, you know, because he said himself that if he didn't have to do it, he wouldn't have
done it.
He wouldn't have done it. And you know, if you look at when the vote began to shift, it was somewhere between Roosevelt and in the 60s. When, you know, Eleanor was a main leader of a lot of the social programs, and a lot of those social programs were helpful to people in poverty, and a lot of those people in poverty were people of color. And so since those practices were at the time led by the Democratic Party, that's when the vote began to shift and culminated with the Voting Rights Act that was signed by Lyndon Johnson in the 60s. So that's kind of a little bit of a history lesson as to why. And for the last 50 years, you know, I would love to vote for Republican. They just crazy people.
Not all.
Well, I wouldn't say
all.
okay, but look, if you say that,
people.
but look what's going on, and you say, but look what ran in Baltimore for so many years, Democrats.
Right.
Well, look how poverty struck, and then if they said, I forgot the town, I was going to look up and do some research. Somebody asked me to do a paper for it that was one of the worst countries in a town in Baltimore. That is poverty stricken is worse than one of like a third world country. And Democrats ran it for so long. So when Martin O'Malley got up on the stage, man, I said, I didn't even want to see that mess. Right. And then look how he ran Baltimore for so many years, poverty stricken back in the 60s when they had the riots and stuff like that. And they ran Democratic control for so many long, and look at the poverty stricken, and look what's going on.
I think you're touching on something that a lot of people don't pay much attention to that I think is very important. And even though the party is what it is, Democrat or Republican, but how it affects you as an individual is determined by the local versus the national. Because the local government really is what's most important, because that's what's going to affect you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, you know, the national election is more about, and this is my opinion, it's kind of like a popularity contest.
I was about to say that.
Caller, you're on the live line, but please turn your radio down before you speak. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, please turn your radio down. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm walking in the other room.
Okay. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mark, this is Larry calling.
Yo, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. What you want to get in on, man?
Hey, you know, I was listening to your show, and I have this argument in my house constantly. most of the people in my family are staunch Democrats. Staunch Democrats. I'm not. I don't vote the party. I vote the man. I vote what the person is at that point in time is going to do the best for the community. And here's the problem that we run into. It's just like Democrats are now like, when they're putting their agenda together, they throw us enough bones just to give us a few little things, and then we say, oh, he's a good Democrat. But when you think about it, what have they really done for us in the past 10, 15 years? They already know they got our votes.
Yep.
So when you know that you don't have to do anything for anybody, you're not going to do anything for anybody. Everything then was going toward, let's get with the Hispanic votes. We need their votes. We need to be them to be a part of the Democratic Party because they're the growing constituency that we need to really focus on. So far as the African Americans are concerned, they're like, look, we got them. We don't really need to do anything for them. And that's why I always challenge people, don't vote because, I'm African American, so I won't be a Democrat. No, you need to tell me what are you going to do for me, not even on the national level, like you said, on the local level. Tell me what you're going to do in my city, in my district, that's going to affect not only the people in my area, but what's going to affect my pocketbook. We get the misconception that, Democrats are for the people and Republicans are for the rich man. Okay? But all in all, they all both are the same. As I will say, Democrats and Republicans will say, I will say whatever you want me to say when I'm running for election. After the election over, you don't hear from them. So I think that we as a people need to really hold not only Democrats and Republicans, but we need to hold their local elected officials to the promises that they're going to make for us. And nothing scares an elected official more than a united voting bloc. And one thing Richmond, and I won't never keep you long, but one thing about Richmond that is a perfect example for that. Most of you all are way too young to remember. But I grew up in the West End in Richmond. And when I say West End, I don't mean Parham Road or up there by the short pump.
You mean.
I know what you're talking about. I'm old enough to remember.
Idlewood.
Okay. Idlewood Avenue, ran about Bird Park and
Yep.
everything else. That was West End. Now, you remember back in the day, there was
you
Idlewood,
must have gone
Dan
to
Street,
TJ.
Wallace, over there by VCU and everything. That was a strong African-American neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a very strong voting bloc. What's the greatest way to break up a voting bloc? Stick a highway
Redistricting.
right through it.
Oh,
And that's what they did.
highway.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
When they took Idlewood, I mean, they could have put that road anywhere they wanted, but they're like, these black people getting to be just a little bit too uppity, so let's stick a road right in between. And he destroyed that voting bloc. And it's amazing that we as black people, we don't demand that officials that we vote for do anything for us. White people, they demand that, and they get what they want. They get better. Even something as simple as a better sidewalk, they get that. They get better trash pickup.
Right.
We don't ask or demand anything. I think we need to do that as a voting bloc. We need to be less concerned with how much bling I got and what rapper doing this, and need to wrap ourselves in what the politics is of the area.
I can dig it.
But I think radio shows like this are what's needed. We need to learn. We need not even need to learn what's happening in politics today. Learn what happened 25, 30 years ago. Because as they always say, what happened then, if you don't know the past, you don't understand the present, and it's going to happen again in the future.
I can dig it. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Our brother Larry, as he does from time to time, dropping a little bit of wisdom on us, man. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening, man.
Enjoy the show, and hey, I'm gonna listen. Okay.
You got it, brother. Appreciate
Talk
it.
to you later.
Thank you, Larry.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Shout out to my sister, Lady Z, is listening to us tonight. Appreciate you, girl. Love you too. Thank you for checking us out. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Listen, Larry hit on something that he kind of finished or kind of stole a little bit of my thunder when we talk about the parties. You know, y'all longtime listeners know that I call them the purple people.
I feel you.
That's what I call it, because they blue and they red, but they really only one group of people to me. And just to kind of put a bow on the thought that I had, you know, there's a phrase, and I always get it wrong, but I'm going to try to say it. Hopefully y'all know what I'm talking about. I think it's something like all politics is local or something like that, which basically means, you know, you really have to start fixing what's going on from the inside out. You can't worry about what's going on somewhere else, which is another one of the reasons why I got so outraged with people worrying about Paris. 'Cause I mean, while I care about 129 people dying, you know, I really care more about the 1,000 people who got killed by the police in the United States this year. I care more about that, you know, and I know that sounds harsh, but it's just kind of how I feel about that. And so when we're talking about politics, I mean, you got to go and vote. Like, I remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks tomorrow, when we had a local election, and I was like, I got there at like 9 o'clock, and I was like number 50. I'm like, come on, man, for real? I'm number 50 at like 9 o'clock.
Well, I'd walk right in and vote and walk right back out.
Yeah, I walked right in. I mean, I'm talking about 50 people or 49 people or whatever it was in the 2 hours. Probably, you mean tell me you got 50 people in 2 hours? Come on, man. For real. And then you want to complain about what's going on in the hood.
Yes.
You can't complain unless you make yourself part of it. And you have more control as a voter locally than you do nationally, because they already showed you that they don't care what you think nationally. When you look at the White House over the last 35 years, it's been a Clinton or Bush in the White House, including the last 8 with Barack Obama, because Hillary was a senator. She was also Secretary of State. You know what I mean? If you look at what's getting on, she's running now. Another Bush is running. You know what I mean? And say what you want, but in 10 years, we're going to be looking at Chelsea Clinton. And Lord knows how many Bush kids are there out there that we may end up having to deal with. You know what I mean? And when you do the knowledge, you go back and you start looking at who Prescott Bush was. I mean, this is some serious stuff. And people say, oh, you conspiracy. There ain't no conspiracy theory. Like, didn't nobody think that it's crazy that we had a Bush or a Clinton for the last damn near 40 years in the White House? Like, don't nobody, am I the only one? I mean, okay, looking at y'all faces, I guess I'm the only one. But that shit's weird to me.
I never thought about it until you said it. You said this a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, you know what?
But the thing is, when you say that, but nobody wants to step up and run on politics. That's the thing. And like when I told my daddy, he said it's a dirty game.
It is.
Yeah, it's dirty. But you know what, the people, but I don't know that I agree with nobody wants to run, because those folks who have something to say, whether you agree with them politically or not, you know what I mean? But those folks who have something to say, with the exception of Barack Obama, who broke through. But somebody like Chris Christie, who has something to say.
He does.
Politically, you may not agree with him if you're a Democrat. But this is a dude that don't care what you think.
Nope.
He don't care what you think.
But then you got to look. Barack Obama grandmother had money too.
I mean, we also know that we also know that Barack Obama biologically is connected to at least 3 other presidents and vice presidents through his heritage. And so, you know, and there's some folks, again, going to conspiracy theory because I know where you're going. There's some folks that says that he was selected as a little boy to be a president. So I mean, you can look it up. It's out there. But I got you on that. But somebody like Bernie Sanders, somebody like, was it Chris Christie? These are people who have ideas that are outside of the box.
Exactly.
And
they'll never break through.
They'll never break through.
Because the people behind, the machines behind politics, they get together and they tell you, don't run, don't do this. We're going to make it so that you can't run if you don't back down. It's politics is run by corporations.
Right. But you know what trips me out? Like people who have issues with Bernie Sanders. Like like especially Christians who have issues with Bernie Sanders. You don't want a Jewish socialist. That's what Jesus was.
Thank you. I said it. What did I say? Jesus wasn't Christian.
He was a Jewish
He's
socialist.
Jewish.
So was Bernie Sanders. Like really?
Yeah.
Bernie, he said something during the last debate. I loved it. I want to know why these poor whites are voting for a party that is bringing them down as well. This party doesn't care about the poor whites, but they keep voting for them.
You know why? Because a lot of times, this thought process is similar to Willie Lynch, but it's not Willie Lynch because it's for white folk. But rich white people, all the way back to slavery times, convinced poor white people that the black man was their problem.
You're right.
And ever since then, we've had this problem in this country with middle-class white people. They hate us more than rich white people do, if you think about it.
Because they think it's us.
Because they think that we are the reason why they can't get what they need or what they want. It goes all the way back to sharecropping, man. You got to pay attention
You're
to
right.
history and how all of this stuff played out. Like it's a reason why. And rich folks sit around and they laugh. They laugh at the fight. When you look at this country is more about social class than anything else. Because if you got some money and you black, you get to break through. That's why they love Oprah. And that's why they love Michael Jordan. And that's why they used to love Bill Cosby. But Bill Cosby tried to buy NBC, and he wanted to turn it into something where it was more about.
He stepped out of his.
He stepped out of his. Yeah, he stepped out of his place. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me that he was raping white women 40 years ago, and ain't nobody say nothing until now? Come on now.
He had the money to cover it up.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. There ain't enough money for a black man in this
That's
country
what I think.
to get away from
drug
raping a white woman.
for 40 years, 100 of them.
At the end of the
would've been
day,
killed.
I think everything is about money at the end of the day.
It
And that's
is.
why you don't see many people, out there trying to be candidates because they don't have the money. They out there, but they don't have the money for publicity like other people.
They don't.
Yep.
You see all these names on the ballot. You look at them and you be like, who is this?
But that's what I'm saying. You
You know.
gotta know who you're going to vote for
Right.
before you go vote. You
Right.
can't just go in there.
Right.
That's
Because
why.
let me tell you what Chesterfield does. I don't know if any other locality does this. You don't know what party you're voting for
Right.
when you sign off on the ballot. I don't know if they're all like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I noticed that over the past
There's some
10 or so years they
there's some-
stopped putting the parties on the tickets.
There's
So
certain ones,
for
yeah.
people who don't know, they
Right.
go in and they're voting.
Right.
Oh, you
Gotta do
just
your
voted
homework.
for the Tea Party. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do your homework.
you
Yeah,
know.
you have to know. But like I said, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't have money for promotions and all that stuff. They don't have sponsors.
True,
Yep.
but what about that guy that took Eric Cantor's spot,
Spot, yeah.
Yeah.
who had nothing?
Yeah.
This man had nothing
Right.
and smoked him. It was. I felt bad for Eric
But a
Cantor.
lot of
I don't
times
like
it
him,
has
but
to
I
do.
felt bad for
A
him.
lot of times it has to do with how you present yourself.
Right.
Like Barack Obama didn't have no money, but you know what he did? You know what he did? He asked you for $5
And
because he knew that you couldn't
I
afford
get-
$500
He's
a
also
plate.
a great speaker too.
And
That-
yeah, that's
that-
what I'm saying. He had that going for him. But I'm gonna tell you something. You need to be afraid of Jeb Bush. A lot of people ain't tripping
yeah.
off of Jeb Bush
Yeah.
because Jeb Bush is low in the polls and everything. But
Yeah,
you
but-
nailed it. You
Yeah.
nailed it when you said who got more money than Jeb Bush aside from Donald
you.
Trump. And the reality is Donald Trump, Ben Carson. I mean, they're nice stories.
Ben Carson really
They're-
just
they're
broke
not-
my heart. Like, oh.
They're nice stories. What you think about Ben Carson?
It just I grew up in high school wanting to be a doctor at one point, and he was one of my idols. I just loved the story. I thought it was great.
He's brilliant,
Yeah, he's
but
brilliant.
when it comes to
Yeah, well,
those are his
yeah.
political views. So I'm not-
It just really crushed me. Like, oh my God,
I don't even
looked
know
up
his
to
views.
you.
I don't know.
Why
his
would
views.
it crush you? It's America. You can run for
I don't know.
office. It's
I
the
had
American
the
dream.
I had that fairy tale of him, he's a great surgeon. He went through all of that stuff. And I just, it was everything to me in high school. Like, yes, somebody made it. I'm going to make it.
Right.
But to hear all this, all his line and all that, I was like,
Well,
oh my God.
But see,
It's
we're at that
the
point in the
media.
process. Yes, We're at
The
that point in the
media.
process now. It's time to start digging up dirt and, finding
Yeah,
any
everybody-
kind
But see, I
of lie.
don't-
He could have said he learned to tie his shoes at 2.
But the truth
And
of the
they're gonna
matter
pick
is,
it out.
I mean,
No,
all
you
of
were
that,
3.
all of that stuff
Might
to
be
me,
true.
all of that stuff to me is white noise. Like that's just my
Yes.
opinion. All that stuff is white noise.
Yes.
Like because the truth of the matter is, I don't think anybody in this room can remember every story from we was 12 the way it actually happened. It's gonna be somebody who was there. That's gonna be, man, that's bullshit. It didn't go
Yes.
down like that for real. So that stuff I don't really trip. I do think it's weird that he tried to, kill his mother, his grandmother with a knife or whatever that was.
Stan.
And
That
he
was
tried
a
to-
crazy
he tried to beat up his
story.
My
homie.
brother was there to
like you know what I
save
mean.
her.
And then he told a story about how he almost got robbed or something. I mean, those
But-
kinds of tall tales are a little bit silly. But my deal
Yeah.
with Ben Carson, honestly, I have no idea who you are other than the fact that you're a brilliant brain surgeon. Like your political views, a lot of them are religious based and a lot of them just come off as a little bit silly. That's just me.
Yeah.
And this is the last thing I'll say. I'll let somebody else say something on this one. The whole thing with Ben Carson is like, if you go back to every president since you were born. When I was born, Nixon was the president.
Right.
So you go back to every president since you was born. Name one that didn't have no charisma. Name one that didn't excite people. Even Jimmy Carter had people that was excited. Ben Carson comes on television.
Yeah,
and
he don't have
looks
no
like
energy.
he has no
There's
energy.
nothing.
And so I just don't know how I would feel with a dude who you got to look like you care. And he don't look like you care.
He made the hip hop rap though. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
No, it was somebody did it for him.
Oh,
Whatever it was, he was in the
got a
background.
ghostwriter.
Yeah, man.
That was
Maybe he had
kinda
Kanye
ridiculous.
writing for him. Maybe if he had Kanye, it had a little energy to
But
it.
what do you think about Hillary and the ethics? You got to have ethics if you're going to be a president.
Oh,
that
really?
matters.
Oh, really? Do you?
Do you really?
I
Honestly?
really think you need to have ethics.
I mean,
to
so
me.
we get, the last Republican president was a C student, who, got through school, and then the president before him was a draft dodger.
to
I mean,
me-
come on,
well,
man.
to me, I really think you need to have ethics. We're in a time that this country is in a whole lot of heck of stuff, and to me, you need to have somebody with some ethics. And to me, that's what I wrote when I was growing up with a president. When I write a letter.
Right.
And I know we had some people that was not at the best. And we just been having a lot of mediocre in that office. And to me, we don't have, and to me, just having a president, you build a cabinet. You got to have somebody that knows something. And just to me, I have some problems with Hillary Clinton and her ethics.
I got a lot of problems with Hillary Clinton. I'm no fan of hers. I've never been a fan of hers. But the reality is, I'm going to be sick to my stomach in November of 2016 when it's time to go vote because I don't like any of these people, like none of
I
them.
said the same thing.
I don't like any of them, like none of them. And so, I mean, I got you in Hillary Clinton. And for those folks that are listening, I would invite you to Google Mena, Arkansas. Mena, Arkansas. So judging by your reaction, you know about Mena, Arkansas.
And then if you do the murders of the Clinton murders, anybody that have timelines, it's scary that had connections or people that was connected to the Clintons end up dead.
Yep.
And yes,
I read
it's
that.
it's
I
it's
saw something
shocking
on that.
That is
that
crazy.
people that was connected to Hillary or Bill Clinton. Just recently, the chef turned up dead. There was a former White House chef, the chief chef.
A chef.
Yeah,
I
and
wonder
that
what they know then. Oh my
because
God.
the knowledge, because of the corruption.
They know a lot.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. And you talking about national security, about secrets, the Clinton cash book that they was talking about, that foundation, and about the Clinton and about the money, the scandals. And you wonder why you talking about this? You talking about the secrets and stuff, and you wonder why we got national intelligence and stuff, and selling stuff to the Russians, the Ukrainians, and all that other stuff. It's a lot of stuff we need to worry about.
I mean, it's a lot of stuff with all of them. And again, that just takes me back to what I said a few minutes ago with regards to Bush and Clinton. I mean, there has to be somebody who's paying attention that has that thinks that there's something crazy about that. Two families running the country
Interesting.
for 40 years.
Interesting.
That is crazy.
Very interesting. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den. Legacy Internet Radio. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to lighten the mood and have a little bit of fun, which is something that I like to do. So we're going to do that on the other side. Marcus J. and the crew. Ain't no half stepping with yours truly. Back in a few minutes.
Tired of wearing that same old raggedy T-shirt to group events, civic, and work situations? Then why don't you check out our folks' Live Act